what's the one piece of career advice you wish someone had given you when you were starting out?
Okay, so the piece of career advice I wish I would have received, because it took me such a long time to learn it, was to always stay outside of my comfort zone. I think when you first begin a career, you very much stay in your lane. So I have this qualification, or I have this job spec, and so that's what I'm going to do. And it's not so much encouraged to venture outside of doing that. But in order to learn and to grow, you really do have to just make yourself uncomfortable. Go try something that isn't potentially what your skill set is, or isn't potentially something that's part of your role. Always ask the questions, and otherwise, if you don't do that, you're just on repeat. You're doing the same thing over and over again. And I wasted so much time trying to find my position in being able to make myself uncomfortable to learn those other things. But then on the other hand, I hear all the time a piece of advice that people always say, oh, I wish I had this at the start of my career. And it makes me just squirm a little bit. And it's to have a plan and to know what you're doing. And it's the advice that I wish I would have received of stay outside my comfort zone is a little bit opposite, because I never had a plan. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have a plan when I left school, when I left university. Didn't have a plan when I went shopping yesterday. It's all right not to have a plan. And I think hearing that when you're either changing careers or you're new in your career, it is really, really scary, because most people don't have a plan.
No.
But yeah, I think staying outside of my comfort zone is the one piece of advice that I think would have really helped me when I first started my career.
You don't know. When you start a new role or a new career, you don't even understand the role itself. So how are you then meant to make a long-term plan? And like you say, even for going to the shop yesterday, it's so difficult to have that mindset and getting comfortable outside your comfort zone. My director always says that to me as well, because when you're kind of not necessarily stuck in your ways, but you know a way of doing something, it's so hard to adapt and change your mindset to do something different.
It's important to take every opportunity and every day a step at a time. The way that I see it is I'm not and have never chased a plan. I put one foot in front of the other. Someone comes along and says, do you want to do this? Do you want to give this a try? Everything's a learning opportunity, and I think it's important to take those opportunities, even if at times you feel like it's not part of your plan or what is meant to be your plan.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And then secondly, can you share a pivotal moment in your career journey that made a significant impact?
Yeah, so a big one for me is when I first got into what would be considered a career, I was very, very much what's considered operations, and I really enjoyed it, but I was always a person that could never be told press this button without me saying, well, why do I need to press this button? What happens if I press it twice, or what happens if I press it 3 times and then really quick and then once again? It's like I could never just be told to press a button. And so my way of thinking was very, I'd say very unique, and I'm sure I was a challenge to a lot of people back then. But yeah, being in operations, you're not so much on the technical side. You are just primarily doing the actions, making things work.
Mm-hmm.
And I was posed with an opportunity to go on a bit of a secondment quite early in my career and work on some of the technical projects for basically a startup company. So with that, it pulled me away from the operations, and I literally did have to be pulled away from operations because, as I mentioned in the last question, you tend to stay in your comfort zone, and that's what I did. That's what I was doing at that point. And so I was really lucky. I got pulled onto this secondment, was able to learned things that had I not taken that opportunity, I wouldn't have learned. I went into the tech side. I had some amazing mentors, some brilliant people around me, which even to this day I consider some of the smartest people and most experienced people I've ever met. And it moved me ultimately more towards tech. So it gave me the opportunity then to constantly be outside my comfort zone, to learn things, to even start meeting people as well, because in operations you're very focused, you're very much in your own box, and you don't have the opportunity to go out to trade fairs, to go on to big exec calls, to do all these different things, to present ideas. And it gave me the opportunity to open myself to all of that. So for me, that first little opportunity of, oh, there's this secondment coming up, would you like to give it a try? That was possibly one of the most pivotal moments of where I am today.
Yeah, and do you think without that secondment and that opportunity, you would have maybe taken a different route and not gone down the tech route, or would it have been something else that kind of led you that way?
No, I genuinely believe I would have always ended up in more of a tech-based role, because as I said, I just can't press a button without understanding what that button's doing in the background. So I would have always ended up there. It would have been a very different path, and had its own set of challenges and its own set of rewards. But yeah, I think if you have that mindset, the mindset's there regardless of the opportunities that come along.
How do you approach challenges and setbacks in your professional life, and what's your go-to strategy for overcoming them?
I tend to always try and look at the bigger picture. So a setback and a challenge in your professional life is just a short stint of your career. And if you're able to look at it more of a whole rather than the challenge in that moment, you're able to then see it for the benefit that it is. Sometimes you have to have the setbacks for you to learn a lesson. It might be a lesson about, okay, well, this wasn't the right career move at the right time, or maybe if for example, your setback is that you went for an interview and you didn't get it. It's taught you something around how you're interviewing. You'll always learn something from that and then move back. Overall, I always try and keep a level head. So if it's a bit of a challenge in my current workplace or in what I'm doing, keeping a level head, work with people. I think collaborating and working with your co-workers, there's always people there to help. Even if it's just for a little bit of I'm just thinking this over. But hear me out, it's a bit of a crazy idea. Your co-workers are always there, like somebody always is happy to listen. But yeah, just thinking outside the box, really. I think it's that same thing of keeping an open mindset, and don't just stick to the path that you feel like you're meant to be sticking to. Step outside, look at things a little bit differently, even if people have never looked at it that way before. There's so many different ways to overcome things if you just try and take a step back and look at it as a bigger picture.